Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, you are invited to rest, to release the worries of your modern world and surrender to something older, quieter, something far from glowing screens and the tick of the clock. Let your body settle gently into the mattress beneath you. Close your eyes if you haven't already, and begin to draw in slow, easy breaths. Inhale and exhale. Each breath draws you a little deeper into stillness. You are safe. You are calm. And soon you will sleep. This is your story now. A relaxing historical bedtime journey designed to ease your mind and carry you softly into slumber. With each word, we'll travel back through the folds of time to a world that moved more slowly and spoke in whispers rather than noise. Tonight's journey will guide you through the gilded shadows of an imperial palace, a place of grandeur, silence, and ritual. Behind those carved wooden doors lies a life of quiet observation and constant tisty, and constant poise. You will become part of it, if only for a while. This is no ordinary story. It is a soothing sleep tale for history lovers, a blend of gentle storytelling and rich historic immersion. One that invites you to listen, not with urgency, but with ease. Just let go and allow the past to rise softly around you. Soon, you'll awaken not in this time, but in another. One where silk rustles through echoing halls, where incense drifts through the moonlight, and where beauty was both armor and currency. Let the world fall away now. Your journey begins soon. Imagine now the faintest glow of lantern light. The wind is soft, stirring the paper walls of a palace chamber deep within the forbidden city. Beyond the inner gates, silence holds dominion, interrupted only by the occasional chime or the padding of cloth-soled feet. This is where your story takes root, not in books or scrolls, but in the body of a young woman chosen for her grace, her stillness, her ability to disappear when needed and shine when summoned. You are her now. You feel the embroidered silk of your robe against your skin, heavy with gold thread. The air smells of jasmine and sandal. You were not born here, but you belong now. You are one of many, selected to join the ranks of imperial consorts, royal concubines, in service to the emperor. Your days are choreographed, your movements measured. Each gesture, each glance must be practiced and perfected. The palace is vast, a city within a city. Around you are painted walls, delicate screens, and courtyards where nothing stirs without permission. At this hour, the world is asleep, but you are still awake, waiting, always waiting. You sit in silence, watching the shadows move across polished stone. Your heartbeat slows. Your breath becomes shallow. Not from fear, not tonight, but from anticipation. And from stillness, there is beauty here. Yes, but also a deep quiet. A rhythm that lulls the mind. You will learn it. You must. Let your thoughts slow now. Let yourself slip into her skin, into this time, this life. She is calm, and so are you. She is poised, and so are you. The night is long, but soft, and so gently the past becomes your present. Now allow yourself to fall deeper still into dreams shaped by distant history and imagined memory. Your body rests quietly in the present, but your mind has crossed a threshold. You walk through shadowed corridors, where red lanterns flicker softly in their glass cages. Marble beneath your feet, the sound of fountains echoing in the distance. Servants pass you silently with lowered eyes, hands folded into long sleeves. No one speaks without reason here. Words are rare and deliberate, like pearls chosen carefully. For a crown, this is the emperor's inner court. You are not just a visitor. You are part of this living world, drawn into its delicate rituals and whispered secrets. You have been summoned tonight, but no one has told you why. You move through the garden, moonlight catching the lacquered wood of pavilions and the silvery leaves of ancient trees. A crane lifts its head from a pool and stares at you, unblinking. You bow slightly, more from habit than fear. Time here does not tick. It flows like water through silk. Your thoughts begin to soften. Your breathing deepens. The voices of the waking world grow dim, like echoes behind a thick curtain. This is a peaceful, historical sleep story. And you are exactly where you need to be, between truth and dream, history and memory, as the stars hang like lanterns above. The palace roof, your eyes begin to feel heavier. You feel it, don't you? The quiet safety of this world. The steady breath of time itself. You are no longer a stranger here. You are the dreamer and the dreamed, the story and the silence. Let go now. Let this journey carry you deeper into rest. Let the past cradle you gently toward sleep. Close your eyes gently now, as the modern world softly dissolves. With each breath, you leave behind noisy streets and racing thoughts. In their place, a serene world opens one, bathed in lantern light and veiled in lingering incense. A world of ordered silence and quiet wonder. You've arrived at the gates of an imperial palace from centuries past. Walking softly into its embrace as dusk falls, the gateway arches into a courtyard, vast and hushed. Smooth stone flags are cool beneath your slippers. Tall columns rise, like silent sentinels holding up roofs painted a deep imperial red. Beyond them, lotus ponds mirror the lavender sky above. The water still, except for a slow ripple or two where koi's surface for air. Paper lanterns glow in wake of the evening breeze, their soft amber light illuminating gardens planted with peonies and magnolia trees still fragrant in the cooling air. You inhale, tasting the promise of that scent, and notice the gentle hum of palace life, the distant creak of a wooden door, the faint rustle of silk robes, a nod sustained in silence. Above, the first stars appear in clear night. Here, time slows to the pace of your breath. Every step you take carries weight but no rush. As though the land itself is holding space for your arrival. In this place, life is guided by ritual and quiet discipline. You sense corridors threaded through the palace like veins of purpose. Jade statues rest atop red pedestals, watching over open courtyards and still pools. The architecture speaks in whispers. The carved beams tell tales of dragons and phoenixes, of rule and grace, but in a subdued way that soothes your thoughts. There are no harsh lines, no sudden angles, only sweeping roofs, shaded walkways, and softly echoing halls. Now, imagine you are the newest presence in this world. Young woman escorted through moonlit gardens to her private chamber. The air is scented with sandalwood. Outside, servants glide silently. Inside, a low table awaits your first tea. You feel the weight of silk sleeves brushing the floor, and the softness of silk cushion beneath your knees. Tonight, you begin your life within the inner court. This place does not belong to travelers or tourists. It is an enclosed universe, ruled by hierarchy and ritual. Each building within the palace walls is connected not just by stone pathways, but by centuries of ceremony. The incense, the gardens, the precise arrangement of stones all are part of a story that stretches back into the past and pulls you gently, lovingly, into its embrace. For now, though, you breathe and rest. Your heart beats in time with the palace's hidden rhythm. Your shoulders relax. Your mind lets go. This is your portal into a royal life that is both beautiful and complex. In the next steps, we will explore deeper through morning lessons, hidden corridors, reflective ponds, and moments of whispered grace. Let the fragrance of the night, the hum of bamboo leaves, and the faint glow of saffron lanterns guide you further inward. The sky is just beginning to pale in soft hues of rose and lavender, and the stillness of the night gently gives way to the breath of a new day. You find yourself waking before the sun, wrapped in a silk-covered mat, the embroidered edges of your bedding catching the earliest trace of morning light. Outside your chamber, a lone bird calls once, then again, as if signaling the beginning of a ritual more ancient than memory. From the corner of the room, a handmaid appears, silent and graceful. She lights a stick of incense, its fragrance curling into the air like a spirit rising to greet the heavens. The scent is a mixture of sandalwood and jasmine, grounding and ethereal. Another handmaid enters quietly with a copper basin of warm water. She bows low and places it before you. The water ripples slightly, catching golden light from a paper lantern still burning softly nearby. You rise slowly, allowing your limbs to stretch into the morning air. There's no need to hurry here. The palace moves at its own rhythm, one set by ceremony and stars. Your robe, a gentle blend of pale jade and gold, is placed upon your shoulders. The fabric feels cool and comforting, its patterns woven with a delicate image of cranes and clouds. Every thread carries meaning, every stitch a symbol of harmony and obedience. Outside your chamber, the pathways are swept clean. Servants move like water, silent, smooth, purposeful. The tiled walkways lead through fragrant corridors lined with low stone walls and potted plum blossoms just beginning to bloom. You pass a shaded veranda where elder concubines sit, speaking softly, their laughter subdued but warm, coals glowing beneath ash. They nod politely, their expressions unreadable, their eyes watching. With calm wisdom, breakfast in the inner court is a ceremony in itself. You sit in a sunlit alcove where morning light filters through patterned wood screens. A tray is set before you. Sticky rice wrapped in lotus leaves, soft-boiled quail eggs, slices of pear, soaked in honey water, and delicate cups of green tea. Each bite is meant to be savored. Meals here are not about indulgence, but about control, refined, intentional, and precise. The tea warms your throat and calms your chest, as if guiding you into the day with a gentle hand. The palace around you has begun to stir. You hear the distant notes of a guqin played slowly, each string drawn with meditative grace. Somewhere nearby, a temple bell is struck once low, round, and echoing. Its vibration lingers in the still morning air, reverberating not only through the palace stones but through your own quiet breath. It is as though the palace itself is awakening, stretching, and preparing for the day's layered performances. You rise again, this time to walk beneath flowering arches and around shallow pools where koi drift like thoughts through water. Every step is part of the practice, every glance part of the etiquette. You are learning not just how to exist here, but how to be seen without being noticed, how to speak without overstepping, how to live quietly within a gilded world where words are few and meanings are many. You are not alone in your path. Young concubines like yourself walk nearby, accompanied by quiet servants or aging tutors who remind them of posture, of tone, of patience. Occasionally, a royal eunuch passes through with scrolls in hand, nodding respectfully, but never pausing. The inner court is alive, but its pulse is steady, calm, and deliberate. Like the rhythm of a sleep-bound dream, as you stroll slowly past a corridor filled with bamboo chimes. The wind rises slightly, and you pause to listen. The chimes sing in low, breathy notes, natural, imperfect, and utterly soothing. A butterfly drifts through a shaft of sunlight and disappears again into the folds of a curtain. You take one more breath and step forward. The day has only just begun, but already the palace has welcomed you into its sacred rhythm. You are no longer simply visiting, you are part of it now. A quiet thread woven into the living silk of the royal court. Let the calm continue to guide you. There is more to see, more to feel, but always slowly, always softly, like the unfolding of a lotus in warm morning light. The morning ripens, and with it, the palace breathes into a more formal rhythm. The corridors grow busier, no, not loud. Never loud, but layered with subtle movements. A sweep of robes brushing stone, quiet footsteps from concubines heading to their lessons, the clipped voices of older tutors murmuring names of ancient poetry, etiquette, and history. The air is scented now with camellia and rice powder. As more women prepare themselves for the day's appearances, you follow the quiet current of routine. Today, like most days, you are scheduled to sit with the senior tutor of the concubines. Her name is Madame Shen, and she is served under 3 emperors. Her hair is silver and coiled high, her voice soft but firm. She sits beneath a painted scroll of plum blossoms in winter, and motions for you to kneel on a mat of woven reeds. Around you, several other young women bow politely, their eyes lowered, expressions serene but cautious. The lesson begins not with speech, but with silence. You're taught how to listen to truly listen, not just with your ears, but with your breath, your posture, your stillness. Madame Shen recites from the Book of Rites, her words falling like single pebbles into a deep well. Each pause she offers is as important as the words themselves. Those who speak little live long, she says with a ghost of a smile. In the court, silence is its own language. You nod slowly, absorbing her wisdom. There is a paradox here. The more beautiful and visible you are, the more invisible your true thoughts must remain. Behind your lowered lashes and graceful movements, a whole storm of feeling must be tucked away like a secret letter in your sleeve. After the reading, you move to posture exercises, kneeling, bowing, rising always with slow, practiced grace. You are taught to pour tea with a wrist as fluid as silk, to gesture with your fingertips curved just so, to walk with your feet barely whispering against the floor. These are not empty rituals. They are the court's unspoken language, a dance. As political as it is poetic. Later, in the garden of wisteria and moss, you are allowed a short respite. Here, your feet crunch softly over smooth gravel paths as you move beneath vines heavy with soft lavender blooms. The sunlight dapples the stone walkways in shifting patterns, and you pause to watch a dragonfly rest on a lily pad floating in a shallow pond. Nearby, 2 concubines are seated in quiet conversation. Their laughter is gentle and careful, like a melody remembered from childhood. You don't intrude. Instead, you find a stone bench shaded by a ginkgo tree, and you let yourself sit in silence. The breeze lifts the hem of your robe and brings with it the distant sound of a bamboo flute. Somewhere deeper in the palace, a musician is practicing scales meant to soothe the mind and prepare the spirit for harmony. The notes drift on the wind like petals, landing softly in your awareness and calming the rhythm of your thoughts. You are learning that stillness is not absence, it is intention. To survive here is to master that stillness, to wear it like a second robe, to become it so fully that you are both present and unthreatening. This is not a place where power is claimed. Loudly, it is a place where power is earned through patience, ritual, and grace. You rise again when the sun is nearly overhead. A servant appears with a small parasol to shield you as you return to the inner residence. The tutor's final words echo in your memory. Remember, child. In the emperor's world, beauty may open the door, but wisdom decides whether it stays open. And so, with every step you take back toward your room, every measured breath, you practice the art of survival in a palace wrapped in silk and silence. The path is not yours to shape yet, but already you are learning to walk it without stumbling. The shadows grow shorter as noon approaches, and the palace slips deeper into its rituals. There is calm here and formality, and the soft lull of a world where nothing is rushed and yet everything matters. Let that calm wrap around you like a fine shawl. Let your breath slow and your thoughts drift softly as the story of this life gently unfolds. As the sun reaches its peak and begins to soften, the palace settles into its slow midday hush. Meals have been taken, incense has been refreshed in the alcoves, and even the birds in the magnolia trees seem quieter now. It is the hour of stillness, a sacred time when the court seems to hold its breath, each corner wrapped in golden warmth and suspended dust motes. You sit in your private quarters, which are modest by royal standards. A lacquered screen shields your chamber from view, and a small bronze mirror rests on a carved wooden stand. Your chambermaid adjusts your robe for the afternoon rituals, simple, pale jade silk tied at the waist with a braided sash. The fabric whispers as it falls into place, pooling around your knees like water. You lower your gaze to your hands, folded neatly in your lap, and breathe in the scent of sandalwood trailing from the incense burner. In the stillness, begin to sense the palace's most invisible architecture, its hierarchies. Each concubine, servant, attendant, and official exists within an unspoken web of rank and influence. No one speaks of it aloud, but everyone knows it intimately. Your position, your lineage. Even the tone of the emperor's voice when he last addressed you, these things determine your place in the palace. Constellation, there are women in this place who have never once been summoned, and others who have risen like meteors only to vanish again in silence. A glance held too long, a word spoken too soon, a robe too brightly colored on the wrong date's choice can become a thread in your fate. It's not fear that governs you. It's awareness, heightened, constant, and quiet as a cat's. As the hour turns, you are summoned not to the emperor, but to the hall of comportment, where the higher-ranked concubines meet with the grand matron. She oversees the harmony of the inner court with a presence as serene and immovable as a mountain. You bow deeply as you enter, your palms pressed together at your chest, and join the semicircle of women kneeling on silken mats. The hall is cool and shadowed, the sunlight filtered through fine bamboo shutters. The walls are lined with murals of cranes and pine trees, symbols of longevity and poise. Here, you are expected to listen, learn, and respond only when spoken. 2. The Grand Matron's voice is low, deliberate. She speaks of balance, of tone, of the inner beauty that must match the outer. A concubine is not merely seen. She says she is sensed like the scent of plum blossoms carried by the wind. You glance around. The other concubines each bear different expressions, some serene, some cool, one or two with eyes like still pools, impossible to read. These are the women who have survived years, perhaps decades, within these walls. They have mastered the game. You wonder what they think of you, a newcomer, untested, careful, quiet. After the session, you are permitted to walk the West Garden paths alone, a small privilege granted by the Grand Matron herself. The sky has turned amber now, and long shadows stretch from every stone lantern and flowering tree. You walk slowly, breathing in the mingled scent of chrysanthemums and aged wood. Each step seems to carry more weight than the last, not from fear, but from presence. You are no longer a girl plucked from your family and carried here. You are something else, now a participant in a world ruled by elegance, restraint, and subtle power. You begin to understand that life in the palace is not only survival, it is endurance wrapped in beauty. It is knowing when to smile and when to stay still. 'Tis mastery of self. As you return to your quarters and close the sliding screen behind you, the golden light fades into soft twilight. A servant places a warm cloth in your hands and pours a cup of chrysanthemum tea. You hold the cup, inhaling the steam. The air is thick with calm. The silence is not empty. It is a container for dreams, for decisions yet unspoken. And as you sip slowly, you begin to feel it, not fear, not ambition, but readiness. A sense that this story, your story, is only just beginning. Let yourself rest here for a moment longer. Let the hush of the garden, the stillness of the court, and the careful grace of your new world hold you in peace. You are exactly where you need to be. You awaken in silence, wrapped in layers of silk to find for your fingertips to grasp without reverence. The room around you is dimly lit, the air still heavy with the final breath of night. Wooden shutters filter in the earliest glimmers of morning. Beyond them, a soft breeze rustles the patterned paper, stirring the scent of plum blossoms that grow in the courtyard below as you rise. The silence is absolute, save for the distant rhythm of a lone temple bellow. Resonant and calm, it echoes through the compound, a sound both ancient and routine, signaling the start of another day in the imperial residence. You are not in your own time. You are not even yourself. You are her one among the royal concubines, draped in elegance and restraint, your every step an offering to the order of the court. A handmaiden glides in without sound, her head bowed, her robe the color of muted jade. She brings warm water in a basin carved from polished stone, and you soak your hands and face in it while she unravels the long, dark tresses of your hair. The scent of rose oil is faint, folded into every careful movement. There is no speech, only ritual. Stillness reigns. Through narrow corridors of lacquered wood and carved panels, you are escorted into the morning courtyard. The sun is barely risen, but already the sky glows in shades of gold and apricot. Bamboo leaves quiver in the hush. Somewhere nearby, a crane lifts from a pool with deliberate grace, its wings gliding silently through the air like a painted brushstroke. This is your morning world, hushed, immaculate, steeped in ceremony. Other concubines, still quiet from sleep, move gracefully along the veranda paths, each dressed in layered silk robes of muted blues, lilacs, and autumn golds. No one speaks unless spoken to. The rules of presence are unspoken, yet deeply ingrained. You walk among them, your gaze lowered just enough to show respect, but not so much as to show submission. Every gesture matters here. Every turn of the wrist, every placement of the foot is an act of silent communication, hierarchy, favor, grace, and patience, all told without a single word. The path leads you past a koi pond surrounded by white stone's lanterns hang unlit from carved beams, swaying gently. A gardener, older than the palace itself it seems, tends to a plum tree with the quiet reverence of one who serves not the emperor, but time itself. He does not look up, but bows slightly as you pass, as if acknowledging your presence as one. Might a drifting cloud beyond the pond, a small gate opens into a private garden enclosed by low walls of clay and moss. This is where the emperor sometimes walks, they say, when sleep escapes him. You've never seen him here, but the idea of his presence lingers in the stones and shadows. You pause there for a moment, listening not for footsteps, but for silence. The kind of silence that holds within it the weight of 100 stories. The warmth of the morning deepens. You feel it on your skin like a memory. Somewhere, from a courtyard deeper within the compound, a stringed instrument begins to play. The notes are slow and deliberate, like thoughts drifting across water. You let them guide your breath, slow and long. As you return to your quarters, your attendants begin to prepare you for the formal greeting of the day. Routine all concubines must observe before the senior women of the palace. But there is no rush. Time does not move here the way it does in the world outside. It drips, like warm honey, across moments that seem endless. You sit once more before the carved window panels. Light has fully entered now, painting your room with gold and shadow. You breathe in deeply. You are her. And this is her morning. Now dressed in layered silk, your outer robe embroidered with quiet scenes of cranes, mountains, and distant pines, you are led down the covered walkway. Your steps are careful, deliberate, each footfall a whisper on the polished wooden planks. Beneath, The palace has truly awakened now. But even in its fullness, there is no chaos here. Only the rhythm of ritual, gliding in smooth, practiced arcs through courtyards and corridors. The air is fragrant with sandalwood and early jasmine. Along the eastern wall, the morning sun reflects off white plaster and tiled eaves, creating a dazzling patchwork of light that dances with the shadows of birds above. You pause for a moment, letting your gaze rest on one of the sparrows perched upon a tiled rooftop. Its feathers catch the light, glowing almost golden, before it flits away into the high trees beyond the palace walls. You are not alone. The other concubines walk with you, some ahead, others behind, all arranged according to rank and favor. You have learned your place well. Not too close to the Empress's favorites, but not so far as to be invisible. A careful balancing act. One you've practiced every day since your arrival in the inner court at the end of the walkway. A pair of intricately carved doors opens into the hall of quiet ceremony, a place reserved for daily greetings, offerings, and the morning audience. Not with the emperor himself, but with the senior women who manage the vast network of life inside the palace. The chief attendant, the matron of etiquette, and above all, the empress. You step through the doorway and into the soft hush of incense, smoke. The hall is vast, yet subdued, with high lattice windows casting patterned light on the stone floor. Long banners of silk hang from the rafters, their colors faded with time and tradition. A single stringed instrument plays in the far corner, slow, delicate notes that seem to hold the very air in reverence. Now dressed in layered silk, your outer robe embroidered with quiet scenes of cranes, mountains, and distant pines, you are led down the covered walkway. Your steps are careful, deliberate, each footfall a whisper on the polished wooden planks. Beneath, the palace has truly awakened now, but even in its fullness, there is no chaos here. Only the rhythm of ritual, gliding in smooth, practiced arcs through courtyards and corridors. The air is fragrant with sandalwood and early jasmine. Along the eastern wall, the morning sun reflects off white plaster and tiled eaves, creating a dazzling patchwork of light that dances with the shadows of birds above. You pause for a moment, letting your gaze rest on one of the sparrows perched upon a tiled rooftop. Its feathers catch the light, glowing almost golden, before it flits away into the high trees beyond the palace walls. You are not alone. The other concubines walk with you, some ahead, others behind, all arranged according to rank and favor. You have learned your place well. Not too close to the Empress's favorites, but not so far as to be invisible. A careful balancing act. One you've practiced every day since your arrival in the inner court at the end of the walkway. A pair of intricately carved doors opens into the hall of quiet ceremony, a place reserved for daily greetings, offerings, and the morning audience. Not with the emperor himself, but with the senior women who manage the vast network of life inside the palace. The chief attendant, the matron of etiquette, and above all, the empress. You step through the doorway and into the soft hush of incense, smoke. The hall is vast, yet subdued, with high lattice windows casting patterned light on the stone floor. Long banners of silk hang from the rafters, their colors faded with time and tradition. A single stringed instrument plays in the far corner, slow, delicate notes that seem to hold the very air in reverence. You step once more into the inner gardens, a place that feels suspended between centuries, where time softens and the present drifts like mist across a pond. There's a quiet Hera, deeper, fuller silence that breathes with the rhythm of wind. Through bamboo and the slow rustle of lotus leaves swaying gently in their shallow pools. The paths wind through sculpted rock formations and ancient trees, each one older than you, older than the city itself. Their bark is gnarled, their roots spreading like fingers into the damp earth. You walk slowly, your robe brushing against the ground as you pass beneath a low, arched bridge made of dark-stained wood. Beneath it, the koi swim in quiet loops. Their movements like painted brushstrokes, delicate and without urgency. A pair of handmaidens follow at a respectful distance, their voices hushed. They know this is your hour of reflection, a ritual as important as any palace ceremony. Many of the women in the inner court have taken to walking here, seeking a moment of calm before the web of duties draws them back in. You've found your rhythm in it, to a form of silent resistance, perhaps. In the stillness of the garden, you are no longer just a title or a rank. You are breath, presence, memory. A white egret takes flight from the edge of the pond, its wings slow and heavy like parchment rising in the wind. You pause, watching it rise, your eyes following the curve of its ascent until it disappears behind the tiled rooftops of the west wing. A breeze drifts through the garden, carrying the scent of plum blossoms and sun-warmed moss. You breathe it in deeply, your shoulders relaxing. You pass beneath a trellis lined with early wisteria. Their pale lilac petals cascade like tears of silk, almost brushing your cheek as you duck gently beneath them. The stones of the path are smooth beneath your feet, warmed by the sun, and the world feels, for just a moment, impossibly light, like a dream you do not wish to wake from. There's a small pavilion ahead, half hidden by bamboo, its roof gently curved, its wooden posts carved with the quiet motifs of cranes and pine trees, symbols of endurance and longevity. You've sat here before, on mornings like this, tracing the grain of the wood with your fingers while listening to the cicadas begin their slow summer chorus. Now, as you settle onto the cool stone bench, you feel again the quiet pulse of the palace breathing around you. In your lap, you unfold a piece of pale rice paper, taken earlier from your writing chest. Your brush lies beside it, the bristles stained with last evening's ink. You dip it gently in the nearby well and begin again, just a few characters at a time, slow and intentional. You are not a court poet, not officially, but all concubines are taught the arts. And writing, like stillness, is a form of survival. Today's lines are a meditation on stillness. You write of wind passing through an empty corridor, of a reflection glimpsed in water and lost again with the smallest ripple. The poem forms slowly, and you allow it to. There is no rush here, no voices calling your name, no bells summoning you to court. Above, clouds drift lazily across the pale blue sky. In the distance, bells from the temple quarters chime soft and deliberate, spaced apart like the pauses in your breathing. Another hour turns gently forward, and yet the garden remains unchanged. When your poem is finished, you set down your brush and lift the paper, letting it dry in the sunlight. There is no one to read it. It may be burned in a week's time or stored among your personal scrolls. But for now, it is enough that it exists, that you created it, that it carried your voice, even if silently. You rise once more, slipping the poem back into your sleeve. The garden welcomes your return steps along the path. The bamboo stirs again in the breeze, whispering to one another as if offering praise or secrets or simply soft laughter. You smile faintly in the quiet heart of the imperial palace, among koi and blossoms and calligraphy ink. You have created a moment all your own. Evening descends gently upon the imperial city, blanketing the courtyards and rooftops in hues of soft violet and gold. You stand just beneath the wooden eaves of the outer pavilion, where the delicate tinkling of bronze wind chimes stirs with the slightest breeze. The warmth of the sun has waned, and in its place, the coolness of twilight offers a kind of quiet invitation to slow down, to listen, to feel the air shifting. In this hour, the palace transforms. What was once bustling with court attendants, footmen, and whispers of courtly intrigue now grows hushed and almost reverent. The corridors no longer echo with footsteps. Instead, there is a tender stillness, broken only by the muted flicker of flame as lanterns are lit, one by one. You watch from a distance as two eunuchs carry long bamboo poles. each tipped with an open flame, igniting the lanterns along the palace veranda. The lanterns themselves are works of art, delicate paper stretched over ribs of carved sandalwood, painted with pale blue herons, plum blossoms, and moonlit reeds. As each one comes alive, it casts a warm amber glow upon the polished stone. Beneath it, 1,000 tiny suns, swaying gently in the wind. Somewhere behind the screen of flowering wisteria, your presence blends into the quiet. No one expects you at court tonight. You are free to wander, to slip silently through the painted halls. Like a drifting thought, you move through the colonnade slowly, your silk slippers whispering against the floor. Your hand trails lightly along the smooth, lacquered wood. Around you, shadows bloom in corners, soft and harmless, thickening the air with mystery and calm. The jasmine has opened fully now, and its sweet perfume lingers in waves. Rising with the cool breath of night, passing under an arched gate, you enter the garden promenade where moonlight spills across the flagstones. The imperial garden is a marvelous symmetry, so perfect it feels like walking through a dream half remembered. Ponds, still and glassy, reflect the rising moon like polished silver. Stone cranes stand frozen at the water's edge. And through the quiet, the sound of water flows, gentle rivulets trickling from carved fountains, feeding lotus pools that sleep beneath the stars. You pause at a wooden bridge, arching gracefully over one of the streams. Beneath it, koi drift slowly in patterns older than memory. Their bodies shimmer with faint gold and red beneath the water's surface, barely stirring the reflections. Beyond the bridge lies the Moonview Teresa raised platform, built entirely from pale marble, designed for evenings like this. Concubines sometimes gather here to recite poetry or listen to music when the court is at ease. Tonight, it is empty, open, and silent. You step onto the platform, the stone cool beneath your feet. From here, the entire city glows. Far in the distance, just beyond the walls of the inner palace, tiny rooftops glint under the moonlight. Beyond them, the flickering lights of homes and shops shimmer like fireflies trapped in glass jars. You imagine a mother somewhere singing a lullaby to her child, or a fisherman stringing his nets for the morning tide. Life beyond the palace is simpler, but in this moment, you feel no longing, only calm. The stars are out now, emerging like old friends through a veil of deepening blue. You tilt your face upward, breathing in slowly. The sky above the forbidden city seems impossibly vast, yet somehow tender. As though the stars themselves are leaning low to keep you company. Somewhere behind you, a flute begins to play soft, mournful, and distant. The notes flutter through the air like silk caught in a breeze, weaving through the quiet with a melancholy grace. Perhaps it's a court musician practicing alone, or a concubine seeking solace in her music. You close your eyes, letting the song drift through you, and feel something soften within. The night, the lanterns, the water, the stars, all of it gathers around you like a memory you're only now remembering. A life once lived or dreamed, and so you linger a while longer beneath the stars. Not as a concubine, not even as a visitor, but simply as a soul at rest, held gently by a world long gone, yet somehow still breathing with light. The moon begins its slow rise over the palace complex, casting its gentle silver light across tiled roofs and garden paths. Lanterns flicker to life along the walkways, their soft glow creating golden pools of warmth against the encroaching blue of evening. The air is hushed now, cooler than earlier, and filled with the gentle chirp of crickets. Nestled deep in the hedges, your slippers whisper against the polished stone as you walk beside Lady Yoon, a favored concubine, older and calm. She has offered to show you the nighttime rituals of the inner court. She carries herself with practiced grace, her voice low and melodic, perfect for the quiet hours of dusk. "We walk slowly here at night," she says with a faint smile, her eyes watching the lanterns dance. Haste is for soldiers and servants. We are meant to float. You mirror her pace as the path takes you past a koi pond, its glassy surface broken only by the occasional ripple of a lazy fish. A willow leans protectively over the water's edge, its tendrils brushing the reflection of the stars above, soft, dreamy pinpricks in the indigo sky. Somewhere, a guzheng plays, the melody drifting like mist across the garden. Its notes rise and fall like a lullaby, weaving their way into your breath, your steps, your slowing thoughts. You pass a small shrine nestled between two stone lanterns. Lady Yun pauses, and you follow her lead. She lights a small cone of incense and offers a silent bow. Not grand or ceremonial, but intimate, personal. A gesture of quiet devotion. This is for peace, she whispers. Not just in the court, but here. She presses 2 fingers to her temple, and here. Hand rests lightly over her heart as the incense smoke curls upward in thin, fragrant spirals. Your mind drifts further from the day. The palace behind you seems far away now, softened by time and twilight. Only the crickets and distant water sounds remain, tiny lullabies of the ancient world. Lady Yun leads you toward the East Pavilion, where the concubines gather after dark to drink tea and speak softly beneath the stars. No candles are lit here, only starlight and moonlight, and the warm shadows that gather like silk. You join a circle of women seated on embroidered cushions. They do not rise or bow. The hour has melted all formality. One of them gently pours tea into small porcelain cups, the steam dancing like breath from a sleeping mouth. This is Lotus. Tea, she tells you, her voice as soft as the breeze. We drink it when the moon is full. It quiets the spirit. You sip. The tea is floral and smooth, a warm, sleepy sweetness that unfurls through your chest and settles in your belly. Around you, the conversation is hushed. No gossip now, only stories, memories of childhood, dreams of distant mountains. Verses of old poetry recited by heart. Lady Yun shares a story about a crane she once followed across a frozen lake. Another woman recites a poem about a star that falls in love with the earth. The rhythm of their voices, the way the words rise and fall like waves, becomes almost hypnotic. No one speaks loudly. There is no need above. The sky is deep velvet. Stars flicker like tiny lanterns hung by celestial hands. The moon is high now, watching with a quiet gaze. You lean back, your head resting lightly against a silk pillow. You close your eyes for a moment, not to sleep, not yet, but to let it all sink in. The warmth of the tea, the hush of the night, the nearness of others breathing slowly in the dark. A servant walks by with a basket of dried lavender and rose petals. She scatters a small handful into the air. And the scent washes over you like memory. Soft, floral, faintly sweet. Lady Yun places a folded cloth over your shoulders. You may stay, she says gently. No one will ask you to rise before dawn. You thank her with a nod, your voice caught somewhere between waking and dreaming. From far away, or maybe just within, you hear the guzheng again. Its melody returns, slower this time, fainter, like a lullaby drifting over water. The stars above, the tea below, the ancient voices wrapped in silk and shadow. All of it begins to melt into the gentle tide of rest. You are not a stranger here. Not tonight. You are simply drifting. The soft rustle of your silk robes is the only sound that follows you as you step beyond the threshold of the inner chambers. The lacquered doors close with a muted click behind you, sealing away the warm glow of the Emperor's private quarters. For a moment, you simply stand there, letting your senses adjust to the hush that surrounds you. The corridor before you stretches long and straight, lined with painted panels depicting cranes in flight and peonies in bloom. Their colors are muted now in the lantern light, softened into gentle shades that seem to breathe with the slow rhythm of the night. The air here feels cooler than it did inside, carrying a faint freshness that must have drifted in from one of the open lattice windows ahead. It brushes against your cheek like a whisper, carrying with it the scent of pine smoke, a reminder that somewhere, perhaps in a nearby courtyard, a servant is quietly tending to the last of the evening's torches. You begin to walk. The padded soles of your slippers press lightly against woven reed mats, each step cushioned and soundless. You have learned over time that the palace is a different world at night. By day, these corridors hum with life, officials hurrying with scrolls tucked under their arms, eunuchs bowing and darting away, concubines crossing paths with fans hiding their expressions. But now, in this hour, when the moon reigns, there is only stillness. Somewhere far down the hallway, the delicate notes of a pipa drift into the air, each string's vibration hanging for a breath before dissolving into silence. You imagine the musician, perhaps another court lady like yourself, sitting alone in a small chamber, her fingers plucking each note for no audience but herself. The sound is fragile, like silver threads unwinding in the dark. Passing an open window, you pause. The night sky stretches beyond the carved wooden frame, the moon half veiled by a slow-moving cloud. Below, the shadows of the palace gardens are painted in layers, the long, dark strokes of tree branches, the softer outlines of stone lanterns, and the faint shimmer where the pond reflects the sky. A cricket chirps somewhere close, its rhythm unhurried and content. A gentle draft stirs your sleeves. It carries the faintest hint of jasmine, sweet yet subtle, the kind of fragrance that can vanish if you try too hard to notice it. You linger there for a moment longer, allowing the night to press its quiet against you. In the distance, the muffled sound of wooden sandals on stone reaches your ears. A servant appears briefly in the next corridor, bowing low when his eyes meet yours. Without a word, he continues on his way, the small flame of his handheld lantern swaying as he disappears into shadow. Resuming your steps, you pass a series of tall pillars painted a deep vermilion. The lacquered surfaces catch the flicker of lantern light, and for an instant, the gleam seems to move as if the pillars themselves breathe in the dark. Between them hang silk scrolls, each painted with scenes of mountains, rivers, and distant villages, places you have never seen but that feel strangely familiar. You think of the artists who once stood before these long stretches of silk, their hands steady, their minds fixed on landscapes that now live only in ink and memory. Turning a corner, you find yourself in a quieter wing where the lanterns burn lower and the shadows grow deeper. Here, the walls are plain, the floors bare stone rather than mats. The air carries a touch of cool dampness, as though the night has already claimed this space. You know this hallway well. It leads toward the moon-viewing balcony, a place where court ladies sometimes gather during festivals to recite poetry under the stars. Tonight, however, it is empty, waiting. As you draw nearer, the faint chirring of cicadas greets you again, layered over the gentle rustle of leaves beyond the balcony rail. You step out into the open, and the change in the air is immediate. The night wraps around you like a silk cloak, cool but not cold, scented faintly, with water from the garden pond below. The balcony overlooks a portion of the palace grounds that few outside the court have ever seen. A carefully designed landscape of stepping stones, winding streams, and curved bridges, each piece placed with the precision of a calligrapher's brushstroke. The moonlight spills across it all, turning the water to liquid silver and casting the stones in soft relief. You rest your hands lightly on the smooth wooden railing, feeling the faint grain beneath your fingertips. Somewhere nearby, a night heron calls a low, resonant sound that echoes briefly before fading into the stillness. You remain there for a while, your thoughts quiet, your breathing slow. The palace behind you sleeps, its countless chambers folded into silence. Ahead lies the world under moonlight, timeless, unhurried, and entirely at peace. It is in these moments, far from the politics and demands of the day, that the life of a concubine feels suspended between two realms, the gilded cage of the inner court and the boundless, dreaming world beyond the walls. You descend from the balcony by a narrow wooden staircase, each step creaking softly under your weight. The wood feels cool through the thin soles of your slippers, as though it has been quietly drinking in the night air for hours. At the foot of the stairs, the garden opens before you, a serene labyrinth of stone, paths and gentle water channels that glimmer under the silver light of the moon. The moment your foot touches the garden path, the sounds of the palace seem to fade even further. Here, the night speaks in its own language. The slow trickle of water over smooth rocks, the muted rustle of bamboo swaying in the breeze, the occasional plop of a fish breaking the pond's surface before vanishing into stillness again. The stones beneath your feet are worn with age, each one shaped by countless footsteps, emperors, scholars, poets, and concubines who have walked this same route under countless different moons. Some are round and smooth, others flat and angular, each placed in deliberate patterns that guide your steps forward. The moonlight pools in the shallow dips between them, so that as you walk, it is as if you are stepping across scattered fragments of silver. You pass a stand of tall bamboo, their slender stalks swaying gracefully. Every now and then, the hollow stems knock together with a faint clink, like distant wind chimes. Through the bamboo, you catch glimpses of the pond, a dark mirror reflecting the sky, its edges lined with weeping willows. Their long branches trail in the water, stirring gentle ripples that distort the reflection of the moon. A small stone bridge arches ahead of you, its railings carved with lotus motifs that have softened over time. You step onto it slowly, feeling the subtle rise beneath your feet and pause at its center. From here, the pond lies open and still, the moon's reflection undisturbed, save for the faint ripple caused by a swimming carp. The fish moves like a shadow given shape, its body slicing silently through the water. You lean on the bridge's railing, the stone cool and slightly rough beneath your palms, and simply watch until the fish disappears into deeper darkness, continuing. On you pass a lantern, not one of the grand ceremonial ones from the palace halls, but a smaller, weathered stone lantern, its hollow center holding a single, wavering flame. The light it casts is soft and golden, a warm contrast to the pale, silvery wash of moonlight. The interplay of the two lights dances across the moss-covered stones nearby, making the ground seem alive with slow, breathing patterns. A faint sound drifts toward you, the soft sweep of a broom. Rounding a curve in the path, you find an elderly groundskeeper moving steadily beneath a cluster of flowering plum trees. His back is slightly stooped, and his movements are unhurried, as though sweeping fallen petals in the middle of the night were the most natural task in the world. The petals scatter with each gentle motion, some catching the lantern light, others carried away on the breeze. He glances up as you pass, and though words are not exchanged, there is a shared moment of quiet acknowledgement. Before you continue on, past the plum trees, the air changes. The scent of the flowers lingers behind you, replaced by the fresh, earthy smell of water and stone. A winding channel of water, no wider than your arm span, runs alongside the path here. Its surface glimmers faintly, reflecting both moonlight and the golden glow of a distant lantern. You follow it until it disappears beneath a curved wooden bridge ahead. When you cross, the sound of water deepens. You realize you are nearing the garden's small waterfall. Even here, in the still of the night, it does not sleep. The water tumbles over worn rocks in a thin, continuous veil, its sound both soothing and ancient, like a voice that has been telling the same story for centuries. You pause beside it, leaning slightly toward the cool mist that rises from its base. Feeling it kiss your skin with the lightest touch, the garden path begins to slope upward after the waterfall, leading toward a higher terrace. From here, the view of the ground spreads out below like a painted scroll, winding paths, shadowed groves, and the glint of the pond under moonlight. But beyond the garden walls, just barely visible, you can see the faint outline of the city. Beyond the palace, rooftops and towers softened by the haze of distance. Lit here and there by the dim glow of oil lamps, you linger, letting your gaze drift between the ordered serenity of the palace garden and the quiet life of the city beyond. In the stillness, it is easy to believe that the world has paused entirely, holding its breath until you take your next step. And when you do, you follow the path upward, knowing that the garden will soon give way to the moonlit outer courtyards, and that the night still holds many quiet corners left to explore. You pass beneath a low archway of pale stone, its surface cool and faintly rough beneath your fingertips, the edges worn into soft curves by centuries of wind and touch. The air shifts as you step through. The faint perfume of garden blossoms is replaced by something drier, more earthen, the scent of sun-warmed clay tiles and weathered timber. Before you stretches the outer courtyard, a space both humble and dignified. The ground is paved with broad, uneven stones, their colors ranging from muted gray to warm brown. Between them, narrow lines of moss weave green threads, creating delicate, natural patterns. At the far end, a colonnade stands in quiet symmetry. Wooden pillars rising like tree trunks, their lacquer faded to a rich reddish brown dot the courtyard feels almost like a threshold between worlds. Behind you, the inner garden seems a place of secluded beauty, where fragrance and soft color rule. Ahead, beyond the colonnade, lies the more public face of the palace, the areas where messengers arrive. Goods are unloaded, and visitors might wait to be summoned deeper within. Yet at this hour, it is still. Only the faint creak of wood and the gentle breeze and the distant call of a bird break the stillness to your right. A row of stone lanterns stands in quiet formation. They're squat. Bases are mottled with lichen, and their carved openings are dark for now, the oil within unlit until evening. You imagine how they will look at dusk, each one glowing softly, throwing warm circles of light across the paving stones, guiding late arrivals toward the inner rooms. Near the colonnade, a single palace servant moves slowly with a long-handled broom, sweeping in measured strokes. The bristles whisper against the stone, gathering small clusters of fallen petals from some unseen blossom. She pauses occasionally, resting her hands on the broom handle, gazing at the courtyard as though listening for a sound that has not yet come. When her eyes meet yours, she offers the slightest nod, a quiet acknowledgement that you, too, are part of this still moment. Beyond her, an open space reveals the low outer wall of the palace, its tiled roofline tracing a clean, straight path. Against the pale sky, the wall is painted in muted ochre, the surface marked by faint streaks where rainwater has run for decades. Above it, the branches of a willow sway gently, their slender green leaves brushing the tiles with each passing gust. You take a slow walk along the edge of the courtyard, noticing the small details that give this place its depth. In one corner, a bronze water basin stands, filled to the brim with rainwater. The surface shimmers in the light, disturbed only when a falling leaf lands, sending out soft ripples that expand until they fade. The basin's rim is darkened where countless hands have rested, vaping ladles for a drink or a symbolic cleansing before entering the inner halls. A pair of wooden doors stands closed in the far wall, reinforced with black iron bands. They are massive, clearly meant for carts or litters to pass through, but their hinges look as though they are rarely used. This is a place of calm entry, not hurried arrival. You imagine the sound they would make if swung open, a deep groaning note of wood and metal rolling across the courtyard like the first drumbeat of a procession. For now, though the air holds nothing so dramatic, only the rhythmic tapping of the broom, the faint trickle of water from somewhere unseen, and the distant hum of palace life beyond the walls. Every sound seems softened as though wrapped in layers of cloth. You pause beneath the colonnade. From here, you can see the roofline of the main audience hall rising beyond the courtyard, dark tiles curving upward at the corners, their ridges decorated with small ceramic animals. Each figure faces outward, a guardian poised to watch over the spaces within. The breeze shifts again, carrying with it a faint scent of cedar from the wooden beams above you. It is grounding, familiar, like the smell of a box that has held treasured keepsakes for generations. The smooth grain of the pillars under your palm feels alive with age, as though each has absorbed the quiet history of countless days like this one. As you stand there, the sky begins to change. Thin veils of cloud drift across the blue, softening the sunlight so that the courtyard seems to glow rather than shine. In this filtered light, every detail appears more gentle, the shadows less sharp, the colors more harmonious. It is the kind of light that makes time seem slower, as though the day itself has decided to linger. You take a final, unhurried breath in the courtyard. The air is still warm from the afternoon sun, but the promise of evening coolness is already hidden within it. Somewhere beyond the wooden doors, life continues in busier rhythms. But here, in this space between the inner garden and the world outside, there is only stillness, balance, and the gentle passing of another palace day. Leaving the outer courtyard behind, you follow a narrow covered walkway, its roof supported by slim wooden posts that cast long shadows in the fading light. The stone path beneath your feet is cool now, having surrendered its stored heat to the breeze drifting in from the open side. Beyond the low railing, the land begins to slope gently downward, leading toward the soft glimmer of water ahead. The walkway opens to a small gatehouse. Here, the roof tiles have deepened to a shadowy gray, and the walls bear faint streaks from many seasons of rain. The gate itself stands open, revealing the start of a winding path bordered by river grasses. Beyond it, you hear the low, patient murmur of water moving over stones. It is not the loud rush of a mountain stream, nor the ceaseless crash of the sea. This river speaks in a quieter voice, carrying stories along its steady current. You step outside the protection of the walls. The air changes immediately. It is fresher here, with a faint scent of water plants and the cooling earth. Insects sing in the grass, their voices rising and falling in overlapping waves. Somewhere further off, the deep call of a water bird echoes, a long, drawn-out note that seems to linger in the twilight. The path meanders through patches of tall reeds that sway gently in the evening wind. Their feathery tops catch the last gold of the sun, each one tipped with a halo of light before bending back into shadow. Occasionally, the breeze parts them, offering small glimpses of the river itself, a silver ribbon shifting and glinting. Between the green dot as you walk, the palace recedes behind you. The sounds of servants, the occasional clang of distant gates, and the faint laughter of those still lingering in the inner quarters all fade until they are replaced entirely by the rhythm of the river. You reach a wooden platform built low over the bank, its planks smooth and slightly uneven underfoot. This small pier is simple, yet carefully maintained. A quiet space for moments just like this one. You lean against the railing. The river is wide here, its far bank barely visible in the fading light. The surface moves in a slow, almost hypnotic dance, small ripples spreading outward when fish rise, or when the wind presses its invisible hand to the water's skin. A cluster of lily pads drifts near the edge, their round leaves tilting gently with the movement. Beneath them, flashes of silver dart and vanish again. The sun is now low enough that the first evening colors begin to emerge. The sky holds a soft gradient from deep blue above to pale peach near the horizon. Here and there, thin streaks of rose and lavender stretch across the fading gold, mirrored in wavering shapes on the water below. This is the moment when day and night seem to share the sky equally. Each reluctant to yield, somewhere upstream, a small fishing boat glides into view. Its hull is worn but sturdy, painted in muted tones that blend easily with the riverbank. A single figure stands at the stern, guiding the boat with a long pole. You watch as they slow near the reeds, drawing in a small net heavy with the days. Final catch. The motion is unhurried, as though they are as much a part of the river's rhythm as the current itself. The fisherman notices you and raises one hand in a brief, polite gesture before turning back to his work. Soon the boat drifts downstream again, vanishing slowly into the deepening shadows. For a long moment, the only sound is the soft creak of wood and the steady hush of the current. A little further along the bank, a stone lantern stands on a low platform. Its square windows face outward, ready to cast their light upon the water. As you approach, you notice that someone has already prepared it for the night, the wick trimmed, the small oil bowl filled. When lit, its glow will ripple out across the water, a quiet guide for any who pass by after dark. The air cools further. A fine mist begins to form just above the surface of the river, curling and shifting with every breath of wind. It gathers more thickly near the far bank, blurring the line between water and land until it is hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. Above, the first stars begin to show, faint at first, as if shy, but growing brighter with each passing minute. You sit on the edge of the platform, legs dangling just above the water. The wood holds a faint trace of warmth from the day, but beneath it, the air rising from the river is refreshingly cool. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the sounds settle around you, the gentle lap of water against the pier, the rustle of reeds, the distant rhythm of an oar dipping and lifting. When you open them again, night has drawn closer. The last orange light has slipped away, replaced by the soft silver of the moon just beginning to rise above the tree line. Its reflection stretches across the river like a path of liquid light. Somewhere behind you, within the palace, lamps are being lit. Their glow is faint from here, a reminder of the life you have stepped away from for these few moments. Faint breeze from the water brushes against your cheek. It carries with it the scent of river lilies, delicate and slightly sweet, mingled with the earthier smell of wet stones. The combination is both grounding and soothing, like an old memory that surfaces unexpectedly. Bringing with it a sense of belonging, the world here feels suspended. Caught between the duties of the day and the quiet promises of the night, the river continues its patient journey, moving onward to places you cannot see, carrying with it fragments of leaves, drifting petals, and perhaps even whispered wishes cast upon it by others. You know you will return to the palace soon, too. The familiar rooms, the muted corridors, and the slow, ordered rhythms that rule life within its walls. But for now, you linger at the river's edge, letting its calm seep into you. The water glimmers faintly in the moonlight, and somewhere in the distance, a night bird calls again. The evening deepens, the stars grow clearer, and in this moment, surrounded by the slow breath of the river, the stillness feels complete. The night is deep now, the kind of darkness that does not feel empty, but alive with 1,000 quiet sounds. Somewhere far beyond the palace walls, the city hums with faint life, a distant echo of wheels on cobblestones, the far-off call of a night vendor, the muted bark of a dog down by the riverside. Yet here, inside the high stone boundaries, it is as if the world has drawn a curtain, leaving you in a realm suspended between waking and dreams. The garden path beneath your feet is soft with crushed petals and fallen leaves. The moonlight drapes across the walkway like silk, painting every stone in silver and shadow. Overhead, the branches of ancient cypress trees weave together in loose archways, filtering the glow so that it falls in dappled pools, here bright, there dim. Each step carries with it a whisper, the gentle brush of your robes, the quiet thud of your slippers, the sigh of the breeze shifting through the leaves. Beside you, a narrow stream threads its way along the edge of the path. By day, its water sparkles, full of motion and reflected sunlight. But tonight, it moves like liquid glass, so still that the stars above seem to rest upon its surface. You pause for a moment, leaning slightly over the low, carved stone rail, and gaze at the sky mirrored in the water. The moon hangs perfectly round, framed by drifting wisps of cloud. A pair of fireflies drift lazily above the stream, their lights blinking in a slow, unhurried rhythm, like lanterns guiding you back toward the palace. Farther ahead, the faint perfume of night-blooming jasmine greets you, curling through the cool air in gentle waves. The flowers themselves seem to glow, their white petals luminous in the moonlight. Somewhere within their tangle, a cricket sings, the clear, steady note rising and falling like the breath of the garden itself. In the stillness, the sound feels magnified, filling the quiet spaces between your thoughts as you walk. You pass under a wooden archway where vines climb in graceful spirals, their leaves rustling ever so slightly in the breeze. A hanging lantern swings there, its paper shade painted with delicate plum blossoms. The light inside is faint and golden, casting long, soft shadows across the path. It sways with your passing, and for a moment, the shadow play dances over your face patterns shifting like ripples in a pond beyond the archway. The path opens to a small courtyard set at the heart of the garden. A round stone pond lies at its center, its surface unbroken except for the occasional ripple from a koi fish gliding beneath. The fish move slowly in the darkness, their pale scales catching just enough light to be glimpsed before vanishing again into the shadowed water. Around the pond, stone benches wait, cool to the touch, smoothed by years of quiet use. You take a seat on one, letting the calm of the courtyard wrap around you like a cloak. From here, you can see the distant silhouette of the palace itself, its rooflines rising in tiered harmony against the horizon. The highest eaves seem to kiss the sky, their corners tipped upward like the wings of a resting bird. A few windows still glow faintly with candlelight, hinting at chambers where life stirs even in the late hours. You imagine attendants moving silently within, their slippers making no sound on polished floors, their hands carrying trays of tea or arranging silk pillows in preparation for the night. You linger a while in the courtyard, feeling the air grow cooler against your skin. The scents here are a blend of the garden's perfume and the faint smoky trace of incense drifting from a temple somewhere beyond the walls. Every so often, the wind changes direction, carrying with it the gentle murmur of water from a hidden fountain. It is a place designed for stillness, for thoughts to slow, for the heart to grow quiet. Eventually you rise and continue along the path, heading toward the inner palace gates. The lantern light grows warmer here, spilling in wide arcs across the ground. Guards stand at intervals along the walls, their spears held upright, their armor gleaming dully in the moonlight. They bow slightly as you pass, their eyes steady, their presence a silent assurance that all within these walls remain safe. As you cross the threshold into the inner courtyard, the soundscape changes again. The muffled quiet of the garden gives way to the faint creak of wooden walkways, the distant splash of water from ornamental ponds, and the low murmur of attendants speaking softly as they complete their final duties of the night. Somewhere high above, a wind chime rings, just one note, pure and clear. Before the air stills again, the palace itself seems transformed under moonlight. By day, it is grand and imposing, its halls filled with the business of the court. But tonight, its vast corridors are hushed, the lacquered wood of the pillars catching the silver glow from outside. silken curtains hang unmoving in the still air. Their embroidered scenes of cranes and flowering trees softened by the dim light. Each step you take echoes faintly, as if the walls themselves are listening, preserving the moment in their long memory. You make your way toward your own quarters, passing alcoves where oil lamps burn low, their flames flickering gently. The scent of sandalwood drifts from them, subtle and grounding. In one hallway, you pause to gaze at a painted screen, a depiction of the imperial gardens in full spring bloom. Though the scene is bright and filled with color by day, under the soft lantern light it takes on a dreamlike quality, the painted blossoms seeming almost to sway in a breeze that exists only in your imagination. Finally, you arrive at the sliding doors to your chamber. An attendant bows deeply, opening them for you with care. Inside, the air is cool, touched with the faintest trace of lavender from sachets tucked among the bedding. The floor mats are freshly brushed, their woven scent mingling with the floral. Note: a single lamp burns in the corner, its light, warm, and inviting. You step inside, and for a moment you pause to look back through the open doors. The garden beyond is quiet now, the moon's path across the sky nearly complete. A feeling of deep stillness settles over you, not just the stillness of night, but the kind that comes when you know you are exactly where you are meant to be. With a final, slow breath, you allow the doors to slide closed, leaving the night. Outside, the palace sleeps, the city beyond it dreams, and somewhere in the vast darkness, the river moves on toward the sea. Here, within these walls, you are safe. You are at peace. And the journey of the day is ready to fade into the soft embrace of rest. The night has deepened into that hushed hour when time itself feels slower, as if the world has drawn in its breath and holds it, suspended. Beyond the palace walls, the streets lie empty, yet they hold a memory, a soft echo of lives once lived beneath the same quiet moon. Though these walkways now glimmer in silver stillness, they have known centuries of footsteps. Courtiers moving swiftly with sealed messages, musicians carrying lutes wrapped in silk, servants rushing between kitchens and chambers, balancing trays heavy with lacquered bowls. All of them voices, laughter, hurried whispers, have faded into the folds of history. And yet, their presence lingers, not in sound, but in the air, in the stones, in the very grain of the wooden gates. It is a thought that comes to you often here, that the places we see are not truly silent. They are layered. Every wall, every carved beam holds stories upon stories. To walk these grounds is to step into an unbroken chain of moments, each one linked to another, stretching far into the past. A faint breeze stirs, carrying the cool scent of the river. It reminds you that even the water flowing past the city has been here longer than memory can hold. It has watched dynasties rise and fall. It has carried boats filled with silk and porcelain to distant harbors. It has seen the reflection of emperors and beggars alike, and it makes no distinction between them. The river simply moves forward, patient, enduring, unchanging in its course, yet forever renewed. You imagine the same moon above you shining centuries ago, casting the same pale light over the rooftops and courtyards. Perhaps, in some long-forgotten evening, another figure stood in this very spot, gazing upward as you do now. They might have been a poet, seeking the right words to capture the night's beauty, or a concubine like you, stepping out for a brief breath of cool air before returning to the quiet of her chambers. They might have looked at the same stars, wondering if their wishes would ever reach them. This thought wraps around you gently, the reminder that across the span of time, people have always paused under the night sky, always felt the same pull toward beauty, the same longing to hold on to moments that cannot last. Somewhere nearby, a night bird calls. Its note is slow, almost drawn out, a single sound that floats into the stillness and dissolves there. It is followed by silence. A silence so deep you can almost hear your own heartbeat in it. Perhaps that is why nights like this feel so timeless. Because the world gives you room to hear your own presence in it. To remember that you, too, are a passing figure in a long story. One day, your steps here will fade into the same soft memory as all the others. And yet, like theirs, your presence will leave some trace, a ripple in the air, a faint warmth in the stones, a whisper in the wind that someone else may sense long after you are gone. The lantern light along the walkway has dimmed now. Shadows pool in the corners, gentle and unthreatening. Feels less like darkness and more like an embrace, as if the palace itself is encouraging rest. Even the guards seemed less like watchmen and more like part of the stillness. Their movements slow, unhurried. You let your gaze drift back toward the city. From here, only the faintest glow remains in the distance, like embers of a great fire that has burned low. Somewhere down there, families sleep in narrow rooms, merchants dream of tomorrow's trade, and children curl beneath patched quilts, their breathing even and deep. Life continues, but for now it is wrapped in a soft cloak of night. The longer you stand here, the more the present moment seems to blur with the past. You begin to picture how this same scene might have looked 100 years ago, 200. More, the palace walls the same, the moon the same, the air scented with the same night blooms. Perhaps only the faces have changed, and even they, in their hopes and weariness, might not be so different after all. It is a gentle reminder. History is not something distant. It is here, beneath your feet, in the cool stone you touch, in the air you breathe. It lives not only in books or scrolls, but in the quiet details, the worn step of a stair, the faint trace of sandalwood clinging to a wooden beam, the echo of a voice that is no longer here. And so you remain in the stillness, allowing these thoughts to rise and drift away again, like petals carried on water. There is no hurry to move forward. The night is long, and it belongs to you. You begin to walk again, though your steps are unhurried, almost drifting. The flagstones beneath your feet feel cool through the thin soles of your slippers, each one smooth from centuries of use. You wonder how many footsteps they have known, not just of those who lived here, but of visitors, envoys, and travelers from far-off lands. Men in long robes embroidered with foreign symbols, women in layered silks, veiled against the dust. The palace has received them all, keeping their presence folded quietly into its long memory. The night air feels heavier now, not in weight, but in stillness, as though the world has wrapped itself in a blanket and settled deeper into slumber. Somewhere in the distance, the slow rhythm of a night drum begins. One deep, measured beat. Then a pause. Another beat. It is the sound that marks the passage of time when the sun is gone. A reminder to the guards, to the servants, too, any who might still be awake, that the hours are slipping gently toward morning. Your thoughts wander again to those who came before you. You imagine a young maid from centuries past, hurrying along this same walkway with a sealed letter pressed to her chest, or an elderly eunuch carrying a small lantern, moving toward the kitchens to check that the fires are banked for the night. Perhaps on some long-ago evening, a scholar stood here, rehearsing his words before being summoned to the emperor's chamber, the lantern light flickering across his pale, worried face. And then, there were the concubines who walked these paths before you, each with her own story, her own place in the intricate web of court life. Some loved and favored, others overlooked, many forgotten entirely by history. Yet for each of them, there were nights like this where the palace grew quiet, the demands of the day fell away, and there was only the hush of the moonlit gardens. You pass a small courtyard, center taken up by a pond so still it could be a mirror. The pale discs of lotus leaves float upon it, their edges catching the faint light. A single bloom has opened, despite the lateness of the hour, its white petals luminous against the darkness. The scent reaches you faint, almost shy, and, for a moment, it feels as though the night itself has leaned closer to share it with you. You pause there, letting your gaze rest on the reflection in the water. Above you, the moon glows steadily, but in the pond, it wavers ever so slightly with the faintest movements of the surface. It is a reminder that even stillness has its subtle currents, that what seems unmoving may still be touched by unseen hands. From somewhere beyond the walls, the soft creak of a boat on the river drifts in. It is followed by the gentle splash of oars, each sound spaced far apart, as if the rower is in no hurry. The boat itself is hidden from view, but the sound feels close, intimate, as though you are sharing the quiet night with someone you will never meet. Your thoughts slow with each step, like a candle burning lower. The busy images of the day, the bustling servants, the distant chatter of the court. The rustle of embroidered sleeves fade into softer impressions. Now there is only the night, the gentle drumbeat, the scent of lotus, the memory of voices long gone. Perhaps this is the gift of the hours after midnight, the way they strip away the noise of life until all that remains is the core of things. Stone, water, moon, breath, and somewhere behind them all, the patient thread of history running through each moment like a hidden seam. You find yourself thinking of the stories that will never be told, the ones that lived only in a glance. A thought, a fleeting moment no scribe could capture. The slight tightening of a hand on a sleeve, the way a woman's hair caught the light of a lantern as she turned her head. The silent sigh of a man watching the moon before returning to his work. History, you realize, is not only the great events, the coronations, the battles, the decrees, but also the quiet, unmarked moments that no one thought to preserve. Your steps take you past another gate, its doors closed for the night. The wood is dark, the carvings softened by time, and for a moment you picture them in their first days, sharp, crisp, newly painted. Generations have passed through here, each leaving a little of themselves behind, until now, in this late hour. The gate feels almost alive with memory. Somewhere above, a faint breeze stirs the leaves, and you hear the faint shiver of bamboo. It is such a delicate sound that you might mistake it for the rustle of silk. It carries with it the faintest trace of coolness, touching your cheek like a hand in passing. You pause one last time before continuing, letting your gaze lift to the sky. The stars are not as many as in the countryside, the city's lanterns. Dim them, but those you can see shine steadily, as though they have been waiting for you to notice them. It occurs to you that they, too, have watched this palace for centuries, and will go on watching long after you are gone. And so you walk on, letting the night wrap itself around you like a long, slow breath, until the past and present feel as though they have joined into one seamless, endless moment. The path curves gently ahead, leading you into a smaller courtyard tucked deep within the palace walls. Here, the light is softer still, for the lanterns have burned low, their oil nearly spent. Each flame flickers lazily, as if it too feels the pull of slumber. The air here is cooler, the stone beneath your feet damp from the evening's dew. You slow your steps, partly to savor the sensation, partly because there is no need to hurry. Everything in this space seems to breathe at a slower rhythm. The rustle of a single leaf, the sigh of wind between wooden pillars, the occasional drip of water from a tiled eave. You notice a stone bench by the wall, worn at the edges from countless years. It waits in the moonlight like a quiet witness to all that has passed. Perhaps lovers once sat here, whispering forbidden words under the cover of night. Perhaps a servant rested here after running messages through the palace corridors. Perhaps centuries ago, a poet lingered here, gazing at the moon while composing lines that would be read only once before being forgotten. You lower yourself onto the bench, feeling the coolness seep gently through the layers of your robe. From here, the courtyard seems even more still, a stillness so deep that your own breathing feels like part of the landscape. You rest your hands in your lap and simply listen. Somewhere far above, a night bird calls. Its voice echoes faintly. Against the high walls, a lonely sound, but not a sad one, more like a note sent out into the dark to remind the world that it is still here. You tilt your head and notice the outline of bamboo leaves swaying gently in the distance. Their silhouettes like brushstrokes on the pale wash of the night sky. The lantern nearest, to you, gives a soft pop as its wick burns lower. For a moment, you watch the tiny flame fight against the pull of darkness, swaying, gathering itself before settling once more into a small, steady glow. You think of how many nights it has burned, how many faces it has lit, how many footsteps it has seen pass beneath it. Your thoughts drift to those faces, the ones the palace once knew. A young musician plucking the strings of a pipa in a moonlit hall, the soft notes curling upward like smoke. A cook carrying a steaming pot, pausing to bow as a concubine passes. A guard shifting his weight, stifling a yawn, waiting for dawn to relieve him from his post. All of these moments, so ordinary, so unremarkable, are the threads that wove life here. Yet they are lost to the world now, known only to the walls, the floors, the air itself. It strikes you that the palace remembers in its own way, not with words or pages, but with the quiet patience of stone. The breeze shifts, carrying the scent of something sweet, perhaps plum blossoms from another courtyard, or the faint trace of incense still smoldering in some distant shrine. It lingers for a moment before fading, like a memory that comes, unbidden and leaves without warning. You rise again, letting your hand brush lightly against the bench as you pass, as if to thank it for holding your thoughts. The corridor ahead is narrow, lined with carved wooden panels. Their designs, clouds, cranes, and curling waves are softened by centuries, yet each still holds its grace. You trail your fingers along them, feeling the gentle rise and fall of the patterns, the smoothness where many hands have passed. Before yours, at the corridor's end, you emerge into another open space, this one dominated by a lone lantern hanging from a high beam. It sways almost imperceptibly, casting slow-moving shadows across the ground. Beneath it stands an empty water jar, its rim chipped, its surface bearing the faint stains of rain and sun. You imagine it once brimming with fresh water for travelers or servants, its cool depths offering relief on hot summer nights. Now it stands unused, yet it has not been discarded. It remains as a quiet piece of the palace's memory. Another reminder that the simplest objects can carry the weight of years. You move closer to the lantern and stand beneath its gentle light. It falls across your face, warm and faint, like the touch of someone's hand. The shadows around you deepen, their edges soft and wavering, as though they, too, are beginning to fade into dreams. Beyond this courtyard lies the outer wall, though you cannot yet see it. You know the path will lead there eventually, but for now, you remain in this pool of light, content to simply be. The sound of your own breath, the distant drip of water, the soft creak of the lantern rope, they weave together into a rhythm that feels older than the palace itself. And here, in this moment, time loosens its hold. You feel the centuries slide gently past you, like silk drawn slowly through the hands. Voices from the past seem to murmur just beyond hearing, their tones soft, their words indistinct, as if they speak not to be understood, but to remind you that they were once here. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the night sink deeper into you. When you open them again, nothing has changed, and yet everything feels slightly more distant. As though the palace is slowly drifting away into the currents of history, you step forward once more. Passing beyond the reach of the lanterns, glow. The shadows fold around you, cool and quiet. And the faint light ahead promises the final stretch of your walk through this timeless place. Your steps are slower now, almost weightless, as though the earth itself is cushioning each movement. Somewhere beyond the walls, the first whisper of dawn waits, not yet visible, not yet strong, but present all the same. Like the memory of light in the darkness, you know the night is not over. But it is nearing its gentlest, most fragile hour, and so you keep walking. The past and present mingling in each breath, until you are no longer sure where your own story ends and the palace's story begins. The corridor narrows until it feels almost like a secret passage hidden away from the grandeur of the main palace halls. The wooden beams above are heavy and dark with age, their lacquer dulled by countless seasons. Between the boards, you catch glimpses of the night sky, thin, silver slivers framed by centuries-old timber. Your steps are unhurried, the soft pad of your sandals merging with the quiet of the hour. The air changes here, carrying a faint trace of stone and earth, as if you are nearing the edge of the palace grounds. Somewhere ahead, you hear the faint sigh of wind against a tall surface. The outer wall. When you finally emerge, the sight stills you. The wall rises high, its smooth expanse bathed in pale moonlight. It is not imposing in this moment, but rather protective, like an old guardian keeping watch long after the court it served has gone. Vines creep up from the base, their tendrils tracing delicate patterns that catch the light like ink on parchment. Beyond the wall lies the sleeping city, invisible from here but alive in memory. You picture the narrow streets below, the quiet courtyards, the shuttered shops, each one holding its own small world. Perhaps a lone lamp still burns in a scholar's study, or a child dreams fitfully beneath a patched quilt. The city breathes. As the palace breathes, both cradled beneath the same steady moon. A stone stairway curves upward to a narrow walkway along the wall's top. Your hand brushes the cool surface of the railing as you climb, feeling the texture of stone worn smooth. In some places, rough in others. At the top, the view unfolds, the vast, dark sweep of rooftops. The winding ribbon of a river catching faint glints of light, and far away, the hazy outline of hills. The night is still, but not silent. Somewhere far below, a dog barks once, then falls quiet. The river makes its slow music, a sound too soft to disturb, too constant to ignore. You lean lightly against the parapet and let the cool wind brush against your cheek. It feels almost as though the wind carries whispers, not of words, but of presence. As if the palace itself remembers every life that has passed through it, and now releases them into the night air like drifting smoke. You imagine those voices, faint and calm, flowing outward across the rooftops, across the river into the far hills, joining the great and endless conversation between past and present. In the distance, the stars shimmer faintly, their light softened by a thin veil of cloud. One star in particular catches your eye, brighter than the rest, steady and unwavering. It feels like a marker, a reminder that even in the shifting patterns of time, there are points of light that remain. You close your eyes for a moment, and the wind's touch becomes even more present, wrapping around you like a shawl. In that quiet, you think of all the nights this wall has stood beneath the stars. Winters of frost biting at its stones. Springs of rain running in silver streams down its sides. Summers of warm air humming with the songs of cicadas. Autumns of crisp leaves carried over its edge by playful breezes. Each season has passed and returned. Passed and returned again. And yet the wall remains, a constant against the shifting tides of life. When you open your eyes again, the moon has drifted slightly, its light falling now at a different angle. Shadows stretch longer, pooling in quiet corners along the walkway. The change is gentle, almost imperceptible, but it reminds you that time, even here, moves on. You let your gaze drop back toward the palace grounds. From this height, the rooftops gleam softly. their curved edges catching the light like the ripples of a calm pond. Lanterns burn low in only a few windows now, their glow barely enough to mark their presence. It feels as though the entire palace has settled into the deepest part of the night's dream. A bell tolls softly in the distance, not loud, not insistent, just a single low note that seems to float for a long while before fading. It could be a temple bell, or perhaps a clock marking the slow passage of hours. Its sound feels like a thread tying this moment to every other moment it has ever marked. You linger at the wall's edge a little longer, breathing in the cool night air, feeling the texture of stone beneath your fingertips. There is no urgency, no destination, only the quiet company of the place itself. Eventually, you begin to walk along the wall, your steps slow and even. Each stone beneath you feels steady, each shadow familiar. The world below seems farther away now, the city's life a faint murmur compared to the stillness here. When you reach the far end of the walkway, a narrow staircase leads you back down. The descent feels slower than the climb, as though the palace is reluctant to let you go. At the bottom, the path curves toward a smaller gate, its wooden doors closed but not locked. You run your hand lightly over the surface, the grain of the wood, the faint scars of age, the smell of earth and lacquer dot. Here at this quiet gate, you pause. Beyond it lies the outer world, the streets, the river, the hills. But you know that tonight you remain within the palace walls, wrapped in its long memory. The gate is simply another place for the night to breathe, another corner where time rests. You step back from it and turn instead toward the inner courtyards, ready to wander just a little longer before the first hints of dawn arrive. The lantern light in the distance calls softly, a warm glow against the deepening shadows. You follow it, not because you must, but because in this still, unhurried night, every step feels like part of a story you are gently remembering. And as you walk, the wall behind you stands silent and steadfast, keeping its quiet watch as it always has, and as it always will. The palace is almost weightless now in its stillness. Every sound is softened, every shadow stretched long and quiet. The faint scent of sandalwood lingers in the air, a last trace of incense burned in the evening hours. You walk slowly along. A covered veranda, the polished wood beneath your feet cool and smooth. The night air drifts in between the carved latticework, carrying with it a breath of the garden, damp earth, faint blossoms, and the delicate green scent of leaves. Somewhere, far off, water trickles in an unseen channel, the sound as gentle as a sigh. The lanterns here are few, their flames so low they seem more memory than light. They cast a pale amber glow, just enough to outline the curve of a pillar or the slope of a roof. Beyond that glow, the darkness is soft, not empty. It feels full of the quiet presence of all that has been. You pause at a corner, leaning lightly against the smooth wood, and gaze out into the central courtyard. The moon is lower now, its light no longer silver bright, but mellow, diffused. It rests on the edges of roof tiles, slips across stone paths, and pools in the still surface of a pond. The fish beneath are hidden now, their movements too slow to disturb the perfect reflection of the sky. It is the hour when the world feels between breaths. The night is not yet gone, but the day has not yet arrived. Time itself seems to hesitate, as though reluctant to move forward. You take a slow step down into the courtyard, feeling the cool flagstones beneath your sandals. Your fingertips brush the air above the pond, not touching the water, just hovering, feeling the faint coolness that rises from it. The reflection shimmers gently at your movement, then settles back into stillness. Somewhere nearby, a night bird stirs. Its wings shift with a soft rustle, then it is still again. Even its presence feels drowsy, as though the whole palace shares a single lay. As though the whole palace shares a single lay. My most hay. And lives, if they live sixth. Lies alive, last in color. It's Ewa lays. Well, sick. Ewa, sick. Sig, may sig, sig. Why sig, were sig, sig, sick, was sig. We sick, why we sick, I may sick. Where's why? We sick. By I we said me sick, but I'm sick all said. So clee lie it said I, because it said it's I'll see it. Slow heartbeat, you walk toward the far side of the courtyard where a small pavilion rests, open to the night on all sides. Its wooden floor creaks softly under your weight, not in protest, but in greeting. You sit there, folding yourself into the simple stillness of the moment. The stars above are fewer now, not because they have vanished, but because the faintest edge of dawn has begun to pale the sky in the east. It is almost imperceptible. Just a whisper of light behind the horizon, but you can feel it as much as see it. The air itself carries a different note now, still cool, but with the faintest thread of warmth waiting somewhere in its depths. You close your eyes, breathing deeply. The scent of the wooden pavilion, the garden earth, the faint smoke of burnt incense all merge into a single, quiet presence. It feels as though you could remain here forever, outside the press of hours, resting in a moment that neither arrives nor departs. And then, slowly, you rise. The pavilion floor gives a soft sigh beneath your feet. You walk back into the courtyard, the faintest trace of color beginning to gather in the eastern sky. There is no rush, no need to greet the day too soon. The palace will wake at its own pace, servants moving quietly through the corridors, kitchen fires kindling, the soft brush of brooms along stone paths. But for now, those sounds remain far away, hidden in the folds of the future. You take one last turn through the veranda, your hand brushing lightly over the smooth wood of the railing. Every surface here holds the memory of centuries of voices speaking softly, of feet passing in measured steps, of nights just like this one. The air shifts and a petal drifts down from somewhere above, landing silently at your feet. It rests there, perfect in its stillness, as if it has been waiting for this exact moment. You kneel slightly, your fingers hovering over it, not to take it, but simply to acknowledge it. The petal is a reminder. Everything in the palace, from the largest wall to the smallest flower, exists in its own quiet rhythm. And you, for this night, have been part of that rhythm. You step once more into the garden's open path. The moonlight is fading, and the pale breath of dawn grows stronger. The sky shifts from charcoal to soft ash, then to the faintest gray blue. The first bird calls a single tentative note, as if testing the air. Another answers, distant but clear. The sound does not break the stillness, simply changes its shape, guiding the palace from dream into waking. You pause near the pond again, looking at the reflection of the sky. The stars there have already vanished, replaced by the pale wash of morning light. For a moment, you think of all the people who once stood in this same spot, seeing the same change in the water, feeling the same gentle pull of time forward. Your steps carry you toward a narrow gate that leads back toward the inner halls. It stands half open, the way left in the quiet confidence that you will pass through when you are ready. You stop at the threshold. Behind you lies the night, with all its deep shadows, its silvered walls, its soft breath of wind. Ahead of you lies the day, not yet bright, but waiting, and you remain in that small, precious space between the two, not hurrying forward, not looking back, simply breathing in the stillness of a palace that has seen centuries pass, and will see countless more. The petal at your feet lifts gently on. A passing breeze spins once and disappears into the slow light of morning. Your eyes follow it, and as you do, the world softens, slows, and drifts gently into silence. The story has reached its final chapter. Yet here in the quiet, there is no rush to turn the page. The palace you have walked through so many times in your mind now stands still beneath a soft silver glow, as if time itself has slowed to honor your presence one last time. The torches in the corridors burn low, their flames swaying gently with the night's breath. The chatter of attendants and the rustle of silks have faded entirely, leaving only the hushed song of a distant fountain trickling into the silence. Like a lullaby meant for you alone, you pause at the entrance to one of the great halls, allowing yourself to take in every detail. The carved wooden screens casting lacework shadows on the marble floor, the faint scent of lotus lingering from the gardens beyond, curling delicately through the air, the moonlight spilling in long pale ribbons through the high windows, brushing against the walls like the tender touch of memory. This palace, once so alive with ceremony, whispers, and the restless footsteps of countless lives, lives now a sanctuary of stillness. A few moments pass in which you do nothing but stand in the canch door, and the stillness, and breathe it in. Your footsteps, when they come, are unhurried. They make the softest sound against the stone, each one echoing lightly and then fading as though even the air wishes not to disturb this calm. The tall doors at the far end open with the faintest creak, and beyond them lies the night. Beyond the palace walls, the city rests. Narrow streets, once crowded with merchants and travelers, lie empty under the watchful gaze of the stars. The marketplace stalls, covered for the night, sit quietly, where hours earlier they had overflowed with voices and colors. The harbor's water glimmers softly, a dark mirror sprinkled with starlight, the ripples barely visible in the distance. You think of all the lives that have passed here, their laughter, their struggles, their moments of joy, and how time has gently gathered them into its arms, letting the echoes drift away into the endless night. The air outside is cool and still, carrying the faint perfume of night-blooming flowers. Somewhere in the distance, a nightbird calls, low, unhurried, and soothing, its voice blending with the steady hush of the river beyond the city walls. Every sound you hear now is soft, spaced apart, leaving room for silence to settle between them. Like fine silk, you begin your slow walk through the outer gardens. Once, these paths bustled with the movement of gardeners, courtiers, and attendants. But now, the only movement is the gentle sway of branches above. The moon rests high, its light turning every leaf into a delicate silver shape. Water trickles somewhere close, perhaps from a small hidden stream, and the sound seems to follow you, as if it wishes to guide you on this final stretch of your journey. The world feels unhurried, and you match its pace. Your breathing grows deeper, fuller, more steady. You feel the gentle weight of drowsiness settling over you, not sudden, but gradual, like a warm shawl placed carefully around your shoulders. Your mind loosens its hold on details, no longer tries to remember each carving or each face you passed earlier in the day. Now it simply drifts, content to move from one soft image to another without urgency. You pass under an archway woven with vines, their blossoms just opening to the cool of the night. The faint fragrance lingers as you move through, mingling with the smell of damp stone and distant water. Somewhere in the gardens, an oil lamp burns low, its small flame making the shadows dance across a nearby wall. The light is dim, warm, and comforting, the kind of glow that feels safe to watch from afar. Further ahead, the final gate of the palace comes into view. Its tall wooden panels stand in quiet dignity, the metalwork cool and pale under the moonlight. You pause there for a long moment, standing beneath its shadowed arch. From here, the world stretches out in silence. The road beyond disappears into a silver haze, the kind that makes the edges of reality blur softly. It is the road that has carried countless travelers through centuries. And now it carries you not away from this place, but deeper into the stillness that follows every completed journey. You realize, standing there, that you are not leaving with haste. You are drifting, as though the world itself wishes for you to move without disturbance. The palace behind you is not fading. It is simply folding itself away. Like a page in a book you may open again another night. The city beyond is not gone. It rests, waiting for another sunrise, another day, another story as you take one last look back. The tall walls glow faintly under the moon, the windows dark, the gardens hushed. The images you have gathered here, the glimmer of lantern light, the feel of silk brushing against your arm, the distant sound of water remain with you. But they no longer call for your attention. They become part of the soft background of your thoughts, like memories of a dream already, fading as sleep deepens. The road ahead and the quiet behind form a perfect harmony. You are neither here nor there entirely. You are in the gentle space between, where endings become beginnings and time loses its edges. You feel the night take you in, the cool air mingling with the quiet warmth within, creating a perfect balance. With every slow step, your awareness drifts further from the sharpness of waking life. The night sky above holds steady, a wide expanse of velvet dotted with silver. Somewhere in that vastness, the moon keeps its slow watch, as it has done for countless nights before this one. Its light falls gently across your path, guiding you, not toward a destination, but toward a feeling, a deep, unshakable peace. You do not rush, you do not resist. You simply move forward, letting the rhythm of your breath carry you into the next part of the journey, knowing that the path will continue to unfold without you needing to see every step ahead. The road has narrowed to a soft, moonlit ribbon, and with every step you take, the night deepens around you, not darker, but calmer, as though the air itself has learned to breathe in a slower rhythm. The sounds of the palace and city are now only echoes far behind you, softened until they are no more than a memory of sound. There is only the hush of the wind as it moves gently through the tall grasses beside the path. They sway in a slow, unhurried dance, their tips brushing one another with a sound so faint it could be mistaken for your own breath. Overhead, the sky is vast and endless, yet it feels close enough to touch. The stars hold steady in their places, not rushing, not wavering, simply keeping watch. Your feet meet the earth in a steady, soothing rhythm. Step, pause, step, pause. It is the same rhythm as your breath, in and out, in and out. Each exhale feels like a small release of the day, of the story. Of any thought that tries to hold on in the distance, a shape emerges against the silvered landscape, a quiet riverside where the water drifts in slow curves under the moon. You approach without hurry, letting the soft crunch of the path beneath your feet be the last trace of movement. The river greets you with a sound like a whispered lullaby. It has been flowing for centuries, perhaps longer than the palace itself has stood, carrying the moon's reflection in its gentle current. You step close enough to see the surface. Liquid, silver, moving just enough to shimmer, but not enough to disturb the stillness. The air here is cooler, tinged with the scent of water and faint earth. Somewhere along the bank, a cluster of reeds sways with the faintest breeze, their shadows stretching like fine ink lines across the water's glow. You lower yourself to the ground, finding the earth firm and cool beneath you. Sitting here, you can feel the heartbeat of the night, slow, steady, endless. The ground supports you entirely. You do not need to hold yourself upright in any effortful way. The river's voice is steady now, a constant murmur that wraps around your thoughts and softens them until they blur into formless comfort. Take a slow breath in and out. Again, in and out. Notice how the air feels cooler as it enters, warmer as it leaves. Let your shoulders loosen with the exhale and let them remain loose. Let the space between your eyebrows soften. Let your jaw rest in its natural place, not holding or clenching. A gentle image forms in your mind, not from effort, but from the way the night and the water seem to weave thoughts together. You imagine each ripple on the river as a thought you have carried today. Some are small and bright, some larger and shadowed. Each one moves slowly away from you, carried downstream until it fades entirely into the silver distance. You do not need to reach for them, and you do not need to keep them. They go on their way, and you remain here, lighter without them. The longer you sit, the more the boundaries between you and the night seem to blur. The coolness of the air feels like it belongs to you. The river's murmur feels as if it rises from within. The steady silver light of the moon rests on your skin without weight, and you realize there is nothing more to do, nothing to fix, nothing to plan. Your breath has slowed even more now. It flows like the river, gentle, unbroken, without effort. In and out, in and out. You notice how easy it is to remain still, how natural it feels to sink further into the earth beneath you. Your body understands that it is safe here, that there is no need for vigilance, no need for readiness. Somewhere above, a faint breeze stirs the leaves of a nearby tree. The sound is like a soft shiver of silk, fading almost as soon as it begins. A night insect hums quietly and then falls silent again. The space between each sound is vast, filled with the deep quiet of the world at rest. Perhaps you close your eyes now. If you do, the darkness behind your eyelids is not empty, it is full, like velvet, warm and soft. The shapes you saw earlier, the palace walls, the lantern glow, the garden's blossoms begin to dissolve into gentle fragments of light and color, floating without direction. You do not try to hold them together. You let them drift. If any thought arises, you greet it as you would greet a passerby on a quiet road. You see it, acknowledge it, and let it continue on its way, leaving your path clear once more. Every time you release a thought, you feel yourself sink a little deeper into this calm. Time becomes hazy here. Minutes may pass, or perhaps only moments, but you no longer need to measure them. The river continues its endless journey. The moon continues its watch, and you continue to drift not toward anything, but into the gentle vastness of rest. You might imagine now that the night is a great, soft canopy above you, lowering closer, wrapping you in safety. The stars are distant lanterns, their light steady and comforting. You feel as though you are being cradled not just by the earth, but by the entire quiet expanse of this world. With each breath, your body grows heavier, in the most comforting way. Your arms rest without effort. Your legs feel as though they have settled deep into the ground. Your spine is loose, unburdened, and your head finds its own natural tilt, supported and at ease. And still, the repetition of the river and the breath continues, in and out, in and out. Soft, slow, unbroken. You know that when sleep comes, it will arrive not as a sudden pull, but as a continuation of this quiet. You will simply find yourself already inside it, as though you have been drifting there all along, if you wish. You can let the river's sound become softer now, moving it to the far edges of your awareness. In its place, let the silence grow thicker, as if the night has settled even more deeply. The silence is not empty. It's full of the knowledge that you are exactly where you are meant to be, doing exactly what you need to be doing, nothing at all, and now, even the act of noticing begins to fade. The edges of the world blur. The air is only a gentle weight around you. The ground beneath you is an endless bed, and the stars above are patient, watching over you without asking for anything in return. The story is complete. The palace, the gardens, the moonlit streets, they have all found their place in the background of your thoughts, folded away until another night. You carry nothing from them except the peace they left you with. Your breath remains steady. Your body remains still. And in this stillness, sleep arrives not as an interruption, but as the final step on a path you have been walking all night. It is the softest of arrivals, so quiet that you do not notice the moment it happens. And here, under the moon's gentle watch by the slow river, with the night holding you as it has held countless travelers before, you drift into dreams.